What's going on? It's Jordan here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the 5 ways to Looksmax as a handsome man. And this is more so for men who are considered objectively above average looking men. Now, this video may not make sense at first to be creating because I'm talking about Looksmaxing for handsome men or men who are considered above average looking, but it actually does make sense. And the reason why I say that is because most of the common general Looksmaxing advice is more so for men who are average looking, which makes sense, right? But for the men who are considered above average looking, or even men who are considered objectively handsome men that do want to find other ways to improve their appearance so that they can look their absolute best, well, the Looksmaxing advice for men who are above average looking or even considered objectively handsome men, they're going to be a lot more nuanced for those particular men versus men who are considered average looking or even below average looking, which is exactly why I'm making this video. Now, before we do hop into the 5 different ways, if you want extra help when it comes to maximizing your looks, becoming the most attractive version of yourself, and attracting the women that you desire that are going to view you and treat you like the prize, and overall just have a more thriving, abundant dating life, then I would highly suggest that you check out my free IAB training. I'll have a link down below in the description and the pinned comment. And the free training will also help men who are considered above average looking or even considered handsome men, but they don't really know how to navigate the dating world as an above average looking man or a handsome man. And the reason why I say that is because the way that above average looking and even handsome attractive men, the way that they go about dating is completely different than the way that average looking or even below average looking men go about dating. So if you are also considered a handsome man, then definitely check out my free IAB training. It will also help you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's hop into the 5 ways to Looksmax as a handsome man. So number 1, try different hairstyles. So don't be afraid to experiment with different hairstyles from time to time. Perhaps you can consider growing your hair out, getting a fade, getting a taper fade, which is simply fading the sideburns and then the back of the neck, or even perhaps consider getting a buzz cut, like a very low cut on the top, and get a fade with that as well. And the reason why I suggest that men who are above average looking or even considered handsome men, the reason why I suggest that you be more like a scientist and experiment with different hairstyles is simply because you're going to have more stronger, more attractive facial features, and just overall you're going to have more of an aesthetic looking face and perhaps even a more aesthetic and attractive head shape, which I don't believe there's necessarily one particular head shape that is the most attractive. A lot of it depends on the facial structures and the overall appearance of the man, in my opinion. Of course, there are different hairstyles that do suit different head shapes, so there is that. However, at the end of the day, because of your face being more attractive than average looking men, you can get away with trying different hairstyles. You can get away with experimenting. And what I would suggest that you do, man, is experiment with different hairstyles. So I would suggest that if you're looking to try a different hairstyle, perhaps you can model after your phenotype. So simply someone that is the same race as you, has similar facial features as you, same hair texture as you, or as very close to the same hair texture as you, pretty much your twin, right? Perhaps this could be a celebrity, an influencer, whoever you're compared to the most or that you believe that you look very similar to. If they have a certain hairstyle that you like, that you would like to try out, that you haven't tried out before, consider trying out that hairstyle. It wouldn't hurt to do so. And what I would then suggest is that experiment with different hairstyles that you are wanting to try out that you think would look good. And then based on the feedback that you get, whether it's positive or negative, well, if it's positive, then maybe you want to stick with that hairstyle for a while. Or if you kind of get a mixture of feedback, like you get good and bad feedback or you get bad feedback, then definitely continue to experiment until you find a hairstyle that A, that you really like, and then B, you're seeing that you're getting the most positive feedback. Because as you can see before you, I've tried many different hairstyles. I've done the drop fade with the curls on top, which is what I have right now. I've done a very low cut on the top, almost like a buzz cut with a drop fade. And then even right here, this picture below, this is when I grew my curls out and I was rocking the taper fade. And this was back in 2018, this picture below. So I've tried many different hairstyles, and really I've gotten positive feedback from all of these hairstyles. I've been able to attract women with all of these hairstyles. However, I do believe that the best hairstyle for me is going to be this one up here. That's just based on the fact that I've worn this hairstyle for the longest time, or I've rocked this hairstyle for the longest time. I've received a lot of great treatment. I've been able to attract women with this hairstyle for a long time. Overall, just based on the feedback that I've received with this particular hairstyle, talking about, again, this one right here, I believe that this is my best look overall. So this is the one that I'm going to stick with based on the feedback and the experience I've had while having this hairstyle. So like I said, try different hairstyles, experiment with different hairstyles, roll with the one that you like the most, and then of course the one that you are receiving the most positive feedback from. So that's number one, try different hairstyles and don't be afraid to experiment. Now, moving on to number two is that a beard isn't always the answer. So common advice when it comes to looks maxing, and I've given this advice myself, is to grow out a beard or a stubble. Now, if you are an above average or a handsome man, objectively based on your experience with women, based on feedback and compliments that people have told you, then this is not a must. I repeat, this is not a must, because if you already have strong, defined, and aesthetic facial features, well, you don't necessarily need a beard. You don't necessarily need a stubble, because a stubble is to help men that have more rounder faces add more angularity, more illusions of definition and sharpness to their face by leveraging the facial hair and the way that you line up your facial hair as far as having a low stubble or a beard. But if you already naturally have those type of facial features, then you don't necessarily need a beard, because a lot of men think like, oh, if I don't have a beard, if I don't have a stubble, I'm not going to be considered attractive to women. And they're getting that thinking from a lot of the looks maxing videos that they watched in the past. And a lot of those men as well are giving advice through the male gaze, which we'll talk more about later on in this video. But here's the thing. If you have a sharp jawline, you have hollow cheeks, you have high set cheekbones, then what I would suggest that you do, man, is consider experimenting with different facial hairstyles that aren't necessarily a beard or a stubble. Perhaps you can try the goatee. So this was the look that I had for the longest time when I was younger. This is when I was 23, and I rocked the goatee look for a few years, and it was well received. And I was a lot leaner back then than I am now. So this picture before you, I was around 153, 155 pounds. So I was a lot leaner than I am now. Right now I'm at 167 pounds. That's what I walk around at. And this style really worked well for me because my jawline was a little bit more defined back then than it is now. My cheeks were a lot more hollow back then, just simply because I was a lot leaner. I was a lower body fat percentage. And I can still rock this look now, but I'm not as lean, I'm not as angular as I was back then. So I was definitely able to get away with that look. I didn't need a beard. I didn't need a stubble because, humbly speaking, I already had strong and defined and sharp facial features. So a beard, a stubble wasn't an absolute must. You see what I'm saying? Because I have coaching clients that I work with at the moment that they actually look better without a beard. They would actually get away with being able to attract more women or just have more appeal to women as far as just rocking a clean shaven look, just because they have the facial features to really go with that look. So just understand that a beard, a stubble isn't an absolute must. It's not always the answer to increase your overall physical attractiveness and appeal. Now, the cool thing is that if you have the stronger, more aesthetic facial features, well, a stubble is definitely going to enhance it even more. It's almost like an unfair advantage, but it's definitely going to enhance your facial structure even more. It's just going to add even more angularity. It's going to add even more emphasis on the facial structure that you have, the strong features, and just overall make your face more attractive. So that's not to say you still can't rock the stubble. I would suggest that you lean more towards a stubble than a beard, because a stubble is still going to masculinize your face. It's still going to give off the illusion. Well, you already have the angularity, but it's really just going to more so enhance the angularity, I should say. But you're still going to be able to showcase your jawline, hollow cheeks if you have them, the high set cheekbones, all those things. You're still going to be able to show off the facial structure and aesthetics that you have as an above average or even a handsome man. So just keep that in mind, that a beard isn't always the answer. You can get away with rocking different facial hairstyles that show off more of your natural facial aesthetics and features, which I would encourage that you do if you haven't already. So that's number 2. Moving on to number 3 is that when it comes to your physique, consider going on a cut or a lean bulk. So it just really depends on where your physique is at right now as you're watching this video. Dependent on your physique, if you're more on the thinner side and maybe you lack muscle mass, then consider going on a lean bulk. If you have a good amount of muscle mass and size to you, but you think that you could look a little bit more defined, more sharp, your face could look a lot more defined, consider going on a cut. Now, when it comes to bulking, I would suggest that you go on a lean bulk, as I said. Don't consume over 500 to 1,000 calorie surplus, right? And be in a 500 to 1,000 calorie surplus every single day, because you're just going to put on unnecessary amounts of fat and you're going to ruin a lot of your aesthetics that you probably already have going for you as an above average looking or even a handsome man. So what I would suggest that you do is that if you need to go on a lean bulk, if you do need to build more of a masculine, strong, proportionate frame to your body, again, consider going on a lean bulk, but I would only suggest that you eat a couple hundred to maybe 300 calories a day over your calorie maintenance level, because you're going to still be able to put on gradually more size over time with minimal fat gain. Therefore, you're not going to be throwing off your physique proportion. You're not going to put on too much fat, as I said, which is going to make it a lot easier for you to be able to cut and not have to cut an unnecessary amount of fat, which is just going to be more work, and you're going to have to be in the cutting phase a lot longer than you actually would need to. Now, if you, as I said earlier, already have a good amount of muscle mass and size too, maybe you've done a bulk recently, then again, consider going on a cut, especially if you already have good facial features. Then the leaner you get, the more enhanced your facial features will be. And really it's just you're more so showcasing more of your bone structure because you're lowering the body fat percentage overall, and you're cutting the fat that you've accumulated a little bit from your previous bulks perhaps. Well, your face is going to look a lot more attractive because you're leaning down. You're getting rid of more of that body fat, which is then going to allow you to showcase more of your bone structure. And really, this is what I would say. For men who are considered above average looking and even considered handsome and attractive, to have more of a mass appeal when it comes to your physique, a V-shaped physique that is lean at a low body fat percentage. So I would say lowest end that you could maintain, depending on your genetics, I would say 8% all the way up to 12%. That 8 to 12% range is ideal. Really around that 10%, I would say, is the best in terms of overall aesthetics and being able to maintain that body fat percentage all year round. Of course, having muscular proportion to you, so broad shoulders, a built upper chest, wide back, slim waist, 6 to 8 pack abs if you have the genetics for 8 pack abs, or at least 6 pack abs. Vascularity in your forearms as far as your veins popping out. Those different aspects to your physique, if you can hit those checkpoints, you're going to be good. You're going to be considered generally more attractive as a man to women, and just in general, right? Again, the body fat percentage can vary, but overall, if you have this type of physique, you're going to be good, man. Because right here, this was around right before I started to go on my second lean bulk. So when I first got into lifting weights, I got into lifting weights when I was 17 during my junior year of high school. And I started around like 130. And then I went from 130 all the way up to 155 when I really started to lift, and I was consistent with my lifting. I was actually increasing the weight on my lifts. I was getting stronger, and just naturally, because of the newbie gains, I was able to pack on 25 pounds of lean mass. Now, this picture right here, this is when I actually went on my first proper lean bulk, where I was actually tracking my calories. I was in a calorie surplus. I knew how many calories I needed to consume per day. This was actually a proper strategic, intentional lean bulk. And around this time, I believe I was like 163, no more than 165. And I'm not that far off from this physique. I'm actually more closer to this physique now, but I wouldn't really need to gain that much more size beyond this. Like, I believe that once you hit a certain threshold where you have a good amount of muscle mass and proportion to you, you don't need to constantly go on all these bulks and constantly cut and bulk and cut and bulk. Like, after a while, I believe that you're just going to experience diminishing returns, in my opinion. And the reason why I say that is because I was attracting women just as much here as I was here, honestly. Like, I'm not saying this didn't make a difference at all. It did. My physique, I believe, looked more masculine. I did have more size to me, but at least from this point forward, I couldn't really notice that drastic of a difference in terms of my dating life. I believe men were giving me more respect because I was bigger. But other than that, I wasn't, in my opinion, based on what I can remember and just going off my experience, I didn't see that drastic of a difference in my dating life from this point. Now, from when I first started lifting, like before I had any muscle mass to me, to this point, yeah, there was a night and day difference in my dating life. Like once I packed on some muscle mass and size to me, yeah, that I definitely saw a difference in my dating life. But really from this point moving forward, not that much. And here's something to even think about as well, man, because I'm into women that are into fitness. You know, I think most men are, especially men that work out. What I've found personally in my experience is that even women who are into fitness that work out themselves, they track their calories, they track their lifts, they have a whole weekly meal plan, all those things. Those women, based on my personal experience, they're not so nitpicky or big on you being like this massive, huge dude. They don't necessarily expect you to be someone that looks like you're about to step on a bodybuilding competition stage, or they expect you to look like Chris Bumstead or anything like that. They really don't. Like, as long as, again, you have that V-shaped physique, you're at a low body fat percentage, you have muscular proportion to you, you have 6 to 8 pack abs depending on your genetics, you have that vascularity going to you, you just look strong, you're active, you look healthy and fit, you're gonna be good. Again, you're gonna be generally attractive at that point, in the sense where you're gonna have more mass appeal in terms of being able to attract women to you based on your physique. So that is the third way that you can Looksmax as a handsome man or an above average looking man, and that is consider going on a cut or a lean bulk specifically. Now, moving on to number 4 is just simply show off your most attractive features. Now, whatever your most attractive features are, whether that's your face, your hair, facial hair, physique, etc., just show it off more, man. So, for example, for my personal features, as what I believe are my best features based on my own opinion, but also my experience, my best features are my face, my curls, and my physique. So, for my example, again, it would make more sense to stay at a lower body fat percentage just for overall physique aesthetics, but also for my face, because the lower body fat percentage I am, the more my bone structure is going to be revealed. So therefore, my face is going to look a lot more lean, a lot more angular and defined, as well as having my curls grown out to some degree, whether that's grown out long all around or having curls on top. Again, the way that I have my hair right now in this video, as well as these pictures I'm showing you, having longer curls on top with a low to a medium drop fade on the sides, as well as having a stubble beard, not a heavy, thick beard or a super long beard or anything like that, not trying to look like a Viking or something like that, but having a low stubble beard that does masculinize my face, but it also enhances my jawline and my overall facial structure. And then when it comes to my physique, wearing either slim fits or tailored clothing that really accentuates and show off my physique without me really trying to show off, if that makes sense. Just wearing clothes that really hug my arms well, that showcase my shoulders, wearing pants and jeans that are more slim fit and tailored so I can show off quad definition and just overall muscular development. Now, on the flip side, and I actually had a conversation with a client about this, but even for men who are more on the leaner side like myself, wearing oversized clothing is also great. And just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, women have approached me at bars where I was either wearing layers of clothes. Let's say it's like the fall or winter season. This is usually when I'm gonna be wearing layers of clothes. I will have layers of clothes like a crew neck on, a bomber jacket, and you can't really see my physique. Or I will wear oversized shirts like pump covers. Like this shirt right here is a pump cover. You see how it covers my entire bicep and tricep, right? I like wearing clothes like this because they are comfortable. I like the streetwear look. I like that edgy look. And women like the fact that even though I was in shape, they didn't necessarily see that off the bat. They like the fact that I had a physique under the layers of clothes, and I had a physique under the pump cover shirts that I would wear, and it was almost like a pleasant surprise to them because they were approaching me based on my face, but it was a surprise when they saw like, oh, I was also in shape. That's the beauty about being in shape and having that V-shaped muscular aesthetic physique, is that you can wear clothes that are slim fit, that are tailored to your body so it can really show off your overall physique. But on the flip side, man, if you are in shape, you have that V-shaped physique, you can also wear oversized clothing, more specifically shirts, but you can even wear like sweatpants or maybe even like relaxed jeans. But if you can just tell by looking at you, maybe it's from your shoulders, your arms, your back, whatever. If women can at least tell or have some degree of an understanding that you do work out, that you are fit, they're going to be intrigued by you and be like, huh, like I wonder what he looks like under those clothes. And then if they see a picture of you, or even better, if you are in an intimate scenario where they get to see what you look like under your clothes, they're in for a pleasant surprise. Like you can go both ways as far as wearing slim fit or tailored clothing, or even wearing oversized clothing when you are in shape. There's benefits and appeal from both different types of styles when you are in shape. But also when it comes to like online dating, because I do help men with their online dating as far as like dating apps go. Well, if you are doing online dating, you're on dating apps, then of course make sure that you're taking pictures that highlight your best features as well. See, one of the things that you're going to hear more specifically when it comes to dating apps is don't take selfies. Don't take selfies. But here's the thing, bro. If you have a handsome and attractive face, selfies do very well. Like this picture right here of me smiling, this was actually a picture in my car, but I removed the background for the presentation today. But this was a selfie pic in my car. Nothing crazy, not a professionally done picture, but it still did really well. Women would not only like this picture, but they would also message me first. So that just goes to show you that a lot of advice out there for handsome and attractive men is going to be a lot more nuanced and different. You know what I mean? So whatever your best features are, whether that's your face, maybe that's your face and your body, whatever the case is, you have nice teeth, you have a nice smile, whatever your best features are based on really your experience, the data that you've received from women, from people in general, make sure, of course, that you're positioning yourself in the best way and that you're highlighting the most attractive features that you have. And this goes for online dating, but also just in general, as far as just how you look every day, the type of clothes that you wear. Either way, make sure that you're showing off the most attractive features that you have. Now, moving on to the fifth and final way to Looksmax as an above average looking man or even a handsome man, and that is just simply rock your best look. Now, I know this may seem like common advice, but nowadays it isn't. And the reason why I say this is because, kind of like what I've been talking about throughout this video, most men who are considered above average looking or handsome men, they've taken a lot of looksmaxing advice from men who were once average looking themselves, which obviously there's nothing wrong with that. That's of course the point of looksmaxing. However, you have to understand that those men who were giving looksmaxing advice were more than likely average looking themselves. So therefore, they didn't have the type of facial aesthetics and features that would make you considerably an above average looking or even a handsome man. So therefore, the advice that they've given when it comes to looksmaxing is going to be different, which that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with that because most men are average looking. So that's why they're going to give advice that's going to appeal to the general public of men that are trying to maximize their looks. So there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But with that being said, for above average looking men and handsome men, the looksmaxing advice is going to be a lot more nuanced and tailored, as I've been saying. Also, something to think about is that most looksmaxing advice is given from the male gaze perspective instead of the female gaze. And the female gaze is simply what women find physically attractive about men, which I'll make a separate video about this coming up soon. But for example, like growing out a beard, packing on as much muscle mass and size as you possibly can, a lot of that is advice that's coming from the male gaze perspective. But here's the thing, depending on how you look as an above average looking man or a handsome man, if you are one of those two type of men watching this, or even if you are an average man, that's fine too, man. You're still going to find value in this video. At least that's the intent. But you have to just understand that type of looksmaxing advice it's more than likely not going to position you in the best way possible based on how you look specifically as an above average looking or a handsome man. And that's why if you want to attract more women, which is more than likely why you're watching this video, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if you want to attract more women, then I would suggest that you Looksmax in a way where it's going to be more tailored and suitable for your overall physical aesthetic and your overall archetype that you're rocking, but also having a type of appeal that's going to give you mass appeal to women as far as being able to really cast a wide net metaphorically and attract the most women to you based on Looksmaxing in a way where it's more specific and tailored to you, as well as what's going to appeal to the female gaze. Now, here's the thing, because in coaching calls that I've had with men that have asked me for Looksmaxing advice and they were considered objectively an above average looking man or a handsome man, based on their experiences with women, they were considered an above average looking or a handsome man. However, they were still asking me for Looksmaxing advice, which is perfectly fine. But one of the things that I would tell them as far as like the best look for them or the way to go about Looksmaxing for them specifically, I would ask them, I was like, what particular look did you have at the time where perhaps you were attracting the most women to you? You were attracting the most women to you through dating apps, social media, in person. Or how did you look? What was the look that you had when you attracted your girlfriend? Like, let's say they had a girlfriend or a woman that they were seeing for a long time. Or what was the look that you had when you attracted your ex-girlfriend? Because here's the thing, for above average looking men and handsome men, there's more than likely a look that you had that was working for you, that you were attracting a lot of women with that particular look at the time, but you switched up the look because, again, more than likely you watched Looksmaxing advice that wasn't necessarily tailored and nuanced to your particular look, as well as a lot of that Looksmaxing advice was coming from a male gaze perspective. So revert to your data and experience that you've had with women. Go back in your memory bank and remember the type of look that you had when you were attracting the most women, when you attracted your girlfriend or the woman that you may be seeing casually if you are, or the look that you had when you attracted your ex-girlfriend or your ex-girlfriends. Whatever the type of data and experience that you've had where you were attracting the most women and just overall the most successful with women, consider going back to that look, man, because that was working for you. And if you don't know what look that may have been for you, maybe you've had different looks, then what I would suggest that you do is just consider getting feedback from people close to you that you can trust, as far as like close friends, family members, right? Ask them like, hey, I'm thinking about switching up my look this fall and winter, or whatever point that you're watching this video. It could be the spring or summer, but whatever point of the season it is that you're watching this video, you can ask people that you're close to that you can trust that will give you real advice. They won't lie to you. Just let them know that you're thinking about switching up your look and you're curious as to what look they think would look best on you, or if there was a particular look that you had in the past that maybe the person that you're asking for advice, they were around you, they knew you around then. You can ask them like, hey, I'm thinking about switching up my look. I'm actually thinking about going back to this look or that look. What do you think? Do you think this would be a good move for me? Just ask people for feedback. Or if you have women around you, of course, definitely ask them, because they're going to give you their perspective based on the female gaze aspect of things. So just consider seeking out feedback from people that you can trust, that are close to you, that aren't going to lie to you. Again, if you don't know what particular look was working the best for you when overall you were just having the most success when it came to attracting and dating women. So again, if you want extra help when it comes to maximizing your looks, becoming the most attractive version of yourself, even if you are watching this video right now and you are considered an above average looking man or even a handsome man, and you just want to become the best looking that you possibly can be, then I would highly suggest that you check out my free IAB training. I will show you how to not only maximize your looks, but also be able to become the most attractive version of yourself, the most confident version of yourself, more importantly, and be able to attract the woman that you desire, so you can overall have a more abundant and thriving dating life. And even as an above average looking man, or maybe even a handsome man watching this video right now, the way that you would go about dating women and the way that you would navigate the dating world is going to be completely different than how average to below average men would operate when it comes to dating and interacting with women. And if you don't know how to do that as an above average looking man or a handsome man, you can actually be sabotaging your results. So to prevent that from happening, again, check out that free IAB training. I'll have a link down below in the description and the pinned comment. With that being said, if you got a lot of value from this video, please give it a like, subscribe for more videos like this. And with that being said, I will talk to you in the next video.